Even though the Denver Broncos won in dominating fashion over the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football, there are some major rumors that we have to talk about regarding some of the play of certain players, like Luke Wattenberg and also Evan Engram. But there's a lot more that we're going to dive into in today's Broncos Breakdown episode. Welcome in Broncos Country to the Broncos Breakdown. And like I said, on today's show, I'm going to tell you if there is any validity to any of these Denver Broncos rumors, basically that everybody's been kind of talking about in the last couple of videos. And this bleeds even further back into last week as the Broncos struggled to get the run game going. So I'm going to ask you a question and knock it out right out of the gate. Real quick, let me know right now, what is your biggest concern surrounding the Denver Broncos? If I had to answer this question right now, the answer would obviously be the penalties, because we continue to have more than 6 a game, and that is just unacceptable. So penalties is my answer, but you let me know in the comment section down below. Let's talk about these rumors. First one coming up. Is it time to bench Luke Wattenberg? I think it's a little premature to say that we're going to bench our starting center. However, this is heating up. And the reason I say this is because I went back to last week's video, and hand in the air, I'll call it on myself. I went out and I defended Luke Wattenberg. We'll touch on that in just a second. I was wrong. But if you remember watching last night's game, he had 5 penalties. I mean, it was just awful. And back-to-back penalties, believe it or not. Even the announcers on Monday Night Football, I believe it was Aikman and Buck, were talking about how just off he looked, how he didn't look sharp. He was lagging behind in the play calling and just wasn't getting the pre-snap correct. And like I said, I defended Wattenberg last week after one NFL analyst, went out and said, Wattenberg's been struggling. And I looked at the numbers, and I just went by the statistics alone. And I said, well, if you bring up the results, he hasn't been that bad. He might not be doing great, but he's just kind of there, kind of existing. I was so wrong. It got considerably worse. And if you're wondering who that NFL analyst was, it was Warren Sharp, who is like a statistics wizard. And he basically takes the stats and formulates his opinions and then watches the tape to reiterate what he's talking about. And here's what he had to say. Some would say that a run game averages 4.5 yards per play. We all knew this. You have seen this quote multiple times on this channel. And he was talking about how an effective run game can be kind of supplanted just by a generalized term of successful ball movement on offense. He then goes on to say that part of the reason the Broncos were not moving the football nearly well enough was because Luke Wattenberg was struggling with the run defense. And then I came back and said to you guys, well, he might not be doing a great job, but the numbers are all right. And then last game happened, and I'm like, oh, God, Warren Sharp was right. Not only is he struggling to stop the run, but he is just not getting it from a play calling perspective. Pre-snap penalties and different holding penalties indicate that not only are you getting beat, but when you step up to the line, you don't know what you're doing. You are clearly the weakest link on this offensive line. I always thought it was Ben Powers. But I'm not going to lie to you. Powers and Garrett Bowles and Quinn Miners, they've been great. McGlinchey didn't have a great game yesterday. He was all right. Not nearly as bad as Wattenberg. But Luke Wattenberg, I'm not going to lie to you. If he doesn't clean it up, it might be time to start considering drafting a center. So I'm going to ask you this question. Should the Broncos draft a center in the 2026 draft? Type D for draft or P for pass? Look, I'm going to say draft, and I'm not going to say you have to start him right away, but Luke Wattenberg, if this team is serious about establishing itself as one of the most dominant offensive lines in the NFL, Luke Wattenberg has to be better, or he's got to be out of the starting rotation. Let's go to the second one. Evan Engram. Is he a free agent bust? I also think that this is let's wait and see. It's only been 4 weeks. So I'll take a little pump of the brakes. But I will also say that Evan Engram has not shown up nearly as well as we thought he would have coming into the 2025 season with the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm going to tell you about why I believe in one key area that he is not performing nearly well enough, which is typically one of his strengths. Before I do that, though, let's tell you about our friends over at PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it is good to be right. It is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Do you want to pick more on a guy like Josh Allen's passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on PrizePicks. All you got to do is download the app today, join millions of users, and sign up. Here's how you play. Pick a player, more or less on their stat projections. Watch your money multiply. It is that easy. You can win up to 2,000 times your money on PrizePicks this football season. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So the major area that Evan Engram, at least to me, is not nearly performing where he should be is in his snap count. I realize the injury, right? So I'm not going to pretend like this doesn't bake into why he's not nearly on the field as much, but he's only playing 43% of his snaps against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, you could make an argument, if you wanted to, that against a high performing team like the Chargers or the Bills or the Chiefs or whomever you wanted to talk about, that getting a rotation of different looks for different players is your best opportunity to win, sure, I'd be okay with it. But you are playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the opportunity for Evan Engram and Bo Nix to really gel with each other, to really establish a rapport, something that they have failed to do in the first 4 games. Could that change? Maybe. But right now, he's clearly not 100%. The injury must be bothering him. I don't know if it's the back. I don't know if it's the calf. But he's a non-factor on this offense. It's Courtland Sutton. It's kind of Marvin Mims that we saw kind of emerge in this game. Then it's Troy Franklin. And it looks like R.J. Harvey seems to be an effective passing, option for Bo Nix as that kind of joker mold. Evan Engram is kind of the last option on this offense right now. And here's what also sucks. He doesn't do anything for you as a blocking tight end. That's not his game. And truthfully, he didn't bring him in to be a blocking tight end. But if I'm looking at the Broncos tight end depth chart, we expected that Evan Engram was going to be the player that was really going to elevate Bo Nix's play. And while Bo Nix's numbers might look good from a statistical perspective compared to last year, we'll touch on that a little bit later, Evan Engram is not the reason for that. And I'm sorry to say it, he's just not. When you got guys like Pat Bryant, who are also a non-factor in the passing game, but are throwing blocks like their life depends on it. I mean, Pat Bryant, did you see him against the Colts? Did you see him last night? This kid is not afraid at all of throwing his body on the line. And if you want even more evidence as to how Evan Engram has been a non-factor in 3 games played, he's got 8 receptions for 62 yards, no touchdowns, only averaging 7.8 per catch. It's just not good enough. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Like, if your body's not right, then you shouldn't be out on the field. If you're out on the field, you're healthy enough to play, you got to give me more production. Let's go to our last rumor. Send on a positive note. Bo beating the sophomore slump. BO-LIEVE IT, baby, yeah! I think so. I think he's beating the sophomore slump. Pump the brakes. I know. Moose, you've been very critical of Bo Nix this year. Yeah, because Bo has lacked one thing throughout the entirety of the 2025 season: consistency. But let's go back a year ago at this exact time, through the first 4 weeks of this season and last season. He's better in completion percentage. He's better in yards by a wide margin, better in touchdowns by a wide margin. Interceptions is the exact same, and his QB rating is much higher. His QB rating's not good. Passer rating's not good, but it's way better than it was last year. So while we can all agree that Bo is not playing at the level we thought he would, to say that he's in a sophomore slump is also incorrect. Let's kind of meet in the middle. Let's kind of say, hey, not where our expectations were, but far better than a sophomore slump. And we can kind of go right there. However, if last night's game was any indication, Bo Nix is on the right track. He really is. I thought it was the perfect game plan for Bo. Establish the run, and then let Bo do his thing in play action. There was so much play action ran for Bo last night where he was getting out on naked bootlegs, getting outside of the pocket, where he clearly feels this comfortability to kind of throw on the run. Granted, I don't want him doing it all the time, but he seems to find enjoyment in it. It's like a comfortable part of his game. And the passing chart last night, granted, there might be a lot of green behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. Bo had some shots down the field that were dropped. One by Evan Engram, two by Troy Franklin. Like, I can't blame Bo for last night. He was sensational. The one thing, like I said, that he was lacking this season is consistency. But if you put the full game together like you did last night, minus the interception, Bo's going to lead this team to a lot of victories. He will. So I'm very, very impressed. There needs to be more, and we can expect more coming out here in the next coming games, especially against Philadelphia Eagles, who are going to be the first major test on defense, in my opinion. But if I had to grade Bo Nix through the first 4 weeks, C+, A, B-, probably right around there. I mean, like I said, it's tough to give him a grade because there's been a couple of F performances, and then there's been last night, which was, I thought, an A performance from Bo. So you let me know in the comment section down below. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. A reminder, Broncos Country, to hit that subscribe button. Like today's video. If I could get my words out without burping, that'd be great. And as always, be cool.